I will call to order this regular meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel. The video is also posted on the city website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room. The public and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on the agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all remarks are to be made through the chair. I will not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. This evening, we have a request for remote participation. Councilor Remy has requested to be allowed to participate remotely. Councilor Remy, please state the reason for your request.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am traveling for work, and I am alone in my hotel room at this point.
All right, thank you. Unless there is an objection, the request is granted. I have heard no objection, so Councilor Remy, you've stated your location, identified anybody else present, so we're ready to go. We've got a quorum here, and we have a number of items on the agenda. We'll start this evening with a return visit from Spectrum Service Issues, a little item for the agenda that was brought to by one of our fellow councilors. Do you want to make a couple opening comments? Couple.
All done. Yeah, Randy Filio, Keene City Council. I just do want to applaud the Spectrum and the representatives. The first time that I put this out that, hey, contact me if you're having a problem, my phone blew up and never worked again. I sent it out this last time, and I think I had 2 people comment, and a bunch of people come back and say that Spectrum has fixed their problems, and they appreciate it. So, you know, you got to give kudos to what kudos is due, and give them their kudos. It might change in a couple of weeks, but for tonight we're looking good. Thank you.
So, how about a little update from you folks? Pick up any information that you've been able to gather in the last month and how things are going.
Things are going well, so we've stuck to the plan that we've outlined to the City Council about having additional resources within the market, as well as the enhancements we've put in place throughout the last few months. We've seen a lot of success around stability in our network, and as Randy mentioned, our customer feedback has been good and solid. So we're going to continue that plan. We ask tonight that we just give regular updates through email and correspond that way. If the council needs us to come back in, we certainly will. We'll continue to be good partners, but feel we've made great strides back to the community, and we'll continue to stay on that path.
Okay. And you continue to have an open dialogue with Rebecca. She's our point of contact.
Absolutely.
All right. Comments from committee members? Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just have to say, I haven't called you yet, so it's on me now, not you.
I'll be happy to take your call anytime.
All right, so got a recommended motion. We'll start with you. Sorry. Well, it's all staff, but any members of the public wish to speak? Oh, Counselor, you stayed behind. Welcome. Should I call you Counselor or
Thank you.
State Rep?
I'm a counselor. I'm a citizen tonight. Philip Jones, City Councilor. I chaired the committee that negotiated with 20 years ago, and this long before, under a different name, different people. We asked for a lot. They weren't offering a lot. The one thing they did offer us was Channel 8, and that was for our local PEG access channel. Since then, because programming did go down when we did have Cheshire TV, you took that channel away and put us on like 1013 or something like that. Now that we have a new channel coming back, is there any chance we can get Channel 8 again? That was great. It was a good location. It's empty right now. And if we could, I think that would help both. I think it would help your sales if we had some local people available on Channel 8 and get back onto your network. Right now, we're not using your network at all for the PEG access. Thank you.
Permission to reply? So as we start to look at our franchise negotiations, I think that if the council this is something they're serious about, we should add it into the topic of discussion. It's not something we could solve for this evening, but I think if we put our heads together, we can meet common ground.
Thank you. We have a motion?
Move to recommend the acceptance of the update as informational.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor? I guess you'll have to, we gotta poll everybody, because Mike's.
Councilor Lake, yes.
Councilor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes?
Councilor Remy, yes.
And Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
All right, that's not alphabetical, but we're doing okay. It's unanimous. Thanks for coming, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a mission statement and coalition priorities and funding sources. Dr. Pierre Morton, and perhaps some other guests. Good evening.
Thanks for having us. Good evening. Thanks for having us. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Mr. Mark Logan here with Savings Bank of Walpole.
Hi, Mark, Savings Bank of Walpole. You already know that, though.
And for the, for our record keeper, they're taking the minutes remotely, so it's Dr. Morton and Mr. Bowden, representing Savings Bank of Walpole, right? Okay. I'm a member of that coalition steering committee. Thank you. So you have a report for us this evening as to the work you've done, and we're going to take some budget action here with the release of some funding. So between the two of you, you've got a report.
Intro.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So tonight, the coalition is in front of the council because if you remember, during the budget process, there was a request that came in for $10,000 to support the coalition's efforts. But at the time, they were still really forming themselves. And so the council did put the $10,000 in the budget with the caveat that they come back and talk about where they're at when they were ready to request those funds in terms of their organizational structure and their next steps. And so tonight, you will be talking with the coalition about that, and they will be looking for the release of those funds.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The green light? Okay. All right. We've put together a coalition of various stakeholders throughout our community and the Keene, specifically community and beyond, the Monadnock region, to really try and implement the recommendations from the Racial Justice Committee that was formed 2019, 2020, around there. Yeah, 2020. And so the list of recommendations is a pretty healthy list of recommendations, and it's going to take some time to do so. In the meantime, we put together a coalition, and Mark will speak to the members of the coalition, all sort of the different businesses that are involved, and we've all come together to create a strategic pathway to move forward those recommendations. Now, one of the things that we're really working hard to do right now is to raise funds for various events and programming within Keene and the surrounding area, and to hire a director. Sort of a chief diversity officer type role that will be acting and in the city and beyond to pull together the various entities and businesses and individuals from the grassroots to begin to have along with the Human Rights Committee to to implement some of the recommendations. I will say that today I just had a grandchild. Her name, and I'll pass the picture around later on. She's beautiful, the most beautiful child I've ever seen. Her name is Rhea, like a ray of sunshine. And as I was at the hospital today from 4:30 this morning, my oldest son, Anthony, I realized I have such deep roots in this community. And because my boys were adopted when they were 14 and 15, there's nothing like seeing a child born. And now I really am more passionate, if Pierre can get any more passionate, about the work of this committee. Because I have a granddaughter who will be going to school here and who will be growing up here. And I want my granddaughter to be able to reach her highest potential in this wonderful town. She's a mixed-race child. And the work of this coalition is to make sure that every citizen has a voice, has value, and that value is codified in everything that we do. I'm going to stop there, and I'll turn it over to Mark.
I'll be more tactical about where we are, try to bring it a little more to the ground about what we've done. So, as Pierre said, we're working off of the racial justice report. And in the racial justice report, if anyone remembers it, it was really structured by segments of our community. So one, which is really prioritized, was law enforcement. So there's a law enforcement committee that's active, that's led by Sheriff Rivera, who's an active part of the coalition, along with Pierre and a few others. There's an education committee that's been led by Dottie Morris, in dealing with not educating the community, but the education sector. I've been leading a committee which is incredibly active it's called the Business Advisory Committee, and it really encompasses employers. So looking at the employers in the community, and we have real powerhouse, and we have about 20 people that have been actively involved for probably the last 8 months, and we've broken out into 2 big working groups now, one on working on resources that are available so we can make them available to others. So the bank has just funded an intern, a graduate school intern to work with that committee and pull everything together so we don't duplicate efforts that's going on. There's also a subcommittee that I'm leading, the other working group. It's a regional engagement committee, and we're working on 2 things. One is working on a survey of the region's employers to see what is it that they're looking for, where are they in their journey in terms of DEI, with a specific focus on a lot of the small businesses. We have Mark Rebellard involved in terms of the small business group, downtown group. We have everyone from the hospital to, the New Hampshire Small Business Development Corporation, which is working really well because they're actually finding other resources they can bring to this community as part of it. The executive director actually lives in Keene. So that actually has been really powerful. And also the other thing we're doing is the coalition is actually still Keene-centric. It really is. I mean, the membership is based mostly in Keene, and part of it is to expand and bring in others. So we've been making a lot of progress there. So overall, I mean, tactically, we are moving forward with this band of volunteers, in different areas, which is challenging, without an executive director. In terms of funding, we've had an active fundraising effort. We received a $16,000 grant from the New Hampshire Endowment for Health, to fund social media activities, and we just put out a social media site. We hired a minority-owned business, to lead that, and we have social media presence and are doing a lot there, which is opening up other doors, and will continue to. The bank has given $15,000 plus the intern towards it. We've got $5,000 from the Endowment for Health. The money from the city is much appreciated, and there's one other that I'm not remembering for $10,000. And, you know, where we are now is we were hoping to put the money towards an executive director. We worked really closely with the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, you know, who has an interest in this from us. They feel our next step is really to bring in a consultant for a strategic planning process before we jump into an executive director. So our commitment now with the city's money, which we're not here to propose that we have this specific initiative to release the money for today, is to use with direct programming in Keene. You know, as we said, we're still Keene-centric. You know, we're going to use it for, you know, programming that's either determined by, you know, one of our committees, you know, and coming up with a recommendation. We started partnering with organizations, realizing that partnerships are powerful. We're partnering with Keene Pride, you know, which has just made a lot of headway, so we're partnering with them. So there's a lot going on, and our volunteer base is still really strong, but we're still not opening it wide open until we get going a little. Like, I know that I could have 100 people, you know, involved in the Business Advisory Committee in the next 30 days. There's that much interest in it, but we're trying to keep the group a little stronger, to keep smaller so we can be stronger and move forward. So I'll stop there with a lot of tactical and open it for any questions that people may have. Yeah, sorry. They're our sponsoring organization, so we knew that. I mean, first of all, to accept gifts, you know, you need to be a nonprofit. So rather than, you know, go through the process ourselves of making us a 501c3, what we're able to do is become a committee, or actually a program coalition of the Y, just as the youth coalition for misuse of, you know, youth drug, you know, I always say it wrong, so it sounds like they're for drug abuse, but, you know, just like that coalition, so we paralleled off of that. The Y has been their board, you know, so anything we do in terms of charters, in terms of fiscal responsibility, they have a responsibility for it, so they've put themselves in that position.
If I may, to piggyback on what Mark just said, having it be sponsored by the YMCA also gives us more freedom to really do some of the programming that was recommended in that Racial Justice Ad Hoc Committee report. We would not be beholden necessarily to the political whims, right? Or by the whims of politics, and we can move ahead more freely by it being sponsored from the YMCA.
Great. Please.
I just wanted to add, I'm very excited about the work of this coalition, and personally, we've had opportunity here at the city to engage with Pierre, and he has been a wonderful resource to us. Pierre participated in the chief's process, the promotional process for the chief, and he's really been helping us in terms of training opportunities for our staff and for the council moving forward. So I wanted to recognize Pierre for all the work he's been doing personally with the city, and congratulate him on his granddaughter.
So, just so we all understand our action, we're releasing the funds. We've been holding the funds, and that's principally our action this evening, and I know the whole council will pass it next week. So, anybody else out there that's a member of the community that wants to speak on this particular topic? In that case, Michael, I didn't hear from you, so he will speak up when he's ready to speak. So it's your
I'm
time for
aligned.
motion.
All right. The amount is $10,000, correct? Move to recommend that to the City Council the release of $10,000 included in the budget for the Monadnock Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Coalition.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion by members of the committee? In that case, we need to roll call.
Councilor Lake, yes.
Counselor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Counselor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
Thank you, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. Thanks.
All right. Item number 3 is a grant from the police department. Captain, for the sake of all those that are watching, just you want to introduce yourself and tell everybody about your brand-new role.
Yes, sir.
That's why he's here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Mike Kopsha. I am the newly appointed Captain of Administrative Services at the Police Department. Captain Todd Lawrence was my predecessor, and I am here to present something that actually he wrote up before he left. So thank you for having me, and I'll get right to it. This is the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant from the U.S. Department of Justice. Excuse me. This is an annual grant that provides matching funds that allows the police department to purchase ballistic vests for our officers. Those vests, per the manufacturers and federal recommendations, call for them to be cycled through about every 5 years. So this money would be spent on any new officers hired, and additionally, any officers that have vests that have reached the end of their usefulness. As you see, the department has budgeted $3,950. However, in order to take full access to the money that's being offered per the grant, we may spend up to $6,750 per conditions of the grant, which they would then match to cover the cost of these vests.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Questions from members of the committee? Mr. Remy?
No questions.
Okay. Members of the public? No questions. Be looking for a motion. It's your turn.
Congratulations, Captain.
Thank you very much.
I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah.
The Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee moves to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and expend $6,750 from the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Program funds of the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Programs.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion by members of the committee? If none, we have a roll call vote.
Counselor Lake, yes.
Counselor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes?
Counselor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There. So our next item, number 4, is a grant acceptance, CLG Grant Award.
Good evening, Jesse Rounds, Community Development Director. So I'm here to seek acceptance of grant funds from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources through the Certified Local Government Grant. This is the second year that we're seeking to use these grant funds for a project to explore Keene history. And this is a really cool opportunity for us. This is through the Heritage Commission. We're going to be able to work with a professor from Northeastern, whose name I have here, so I just wanted to grab it, Cabria Baumgartner, who's a professor of history and Africana studies, whose expertise is in looking into sort of the reading between the lines of historical documents and really digging into the history of communities. And so the goal of this is to look at, and the title of the project is Recovering Black History. And so we'll be looking at Black history in Keene. And the goal, we're seeking the funds, it's a total of $16,000 from the state of New Hampshire. then the Heritage Commission will be using $6,000 of their funding and $5,000 of in-kind support to work with the Historical Society of Cheshire County to complete this project. So,
Thanks. Questions? Members of the committee? Members of the public?
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question regarding the use of the funds. There was a Dr. Baumgartner from Eastern,
Northeastern. Yeah.
Northeastern University. Is there an opportunity or some capacity to also enlist the support and the help of some local folks here in the community, whether that be at the colleges or whether that be in the community, who also have skills that would be beneficial to this project? I think it's a worthwhile project, but I'm hoping that you would use some more folks in the community.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. I think the Heritage Commission, who will be sort of leading this project, are definitely looking for volunteers. I can connect you with the chair of that commission, and I think they would love help, definitely.
That's a deal. Awesome. All right. Thank you.
For the minute taker, that was Dr. Morton, once again, speaking. Other discussion? Motion time.
Move to recommend that the city council authorize the city manager to do all things necessary to apply for, accept, and expend the grant from the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources, NHDHR Certified Local Government Grant in the amount of $16,000 for the Heritage Commission to work with the Historical Society of Cheshire County, HSCC, as a part of the existing Recovering Black History project underway in partnership with the Monadnock Center for History and Culture and the Black Heritage Trail of New Hampshire.
And I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion by members of the committee? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilor Lake, yes.
Counselor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Councilor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
It's unanimous. Thanks, Jesse. And the fifth item, Water Sewer Operations Manager. Aaron, you bring a new face to the table, so
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Aaron Costa, Assistant Public Works Director, Operations Manager of the treatment facility. Just wanted to take a minute and introduce Christopher Pelletier. He's our Water and Sewer Operations Manager, and his division oversees water distribution and sewer collection infrastructure throughout the city. Chris has a lot of public works experience, and he's been with the city for about a year now. And he's going to be discussing the acceptance of a grant that we recently applied for with New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
welcome.
Thanks, Aaron. Good evening, councilors. So tonight, staff is asking the city to accept a grant for the amount of $50,000 from the Department of Environmental Services. The purpose of the grant is to create a service line inventory, a comprehensive water service line inventory throughout the entire city of Keene. Specifically, we are looking to find out what these service lines are composed of and determine if there's any lead existing in Keene's distribution system. In addition to that, this inventory will be used to update the lead and copper sampling plan. Currently, Keene samples approximately 60 sites throughout the city for lead and copper, and this inventory will help ensure that the locations that we're choosing are addressing areas of interest. The state is requiring all water systems within the state to submit a inventory of their service lines by October 2024. And these funds will help communities and water systems meet that requirement. The grant does not require a match, and staff time is reimbursable. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thanks. Members of the committee? Questions, comments? In that case, motion.
Move to recommend the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to apply for, accept, and expend the grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, NHDES, in the amount of $50,000 for the lead service line inventory, sampling plan, and replacement plan grant.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. Further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Lake, yes?
Counselor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Counselor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
We have some more Public Works. Christian?
So tonight we have two more items on the agenda in regards to the reallocation of funds and a change order, both in regards to the wastewater treatment plant roof project. Christian Tarr is the utilities maintenance manager. Been with the city about 15 years and been the utilities maintenance manager for about 2. I think he's been in before this committee a number of times, but he's been the project manager on this particular project, so.
Yeah, I'm still a new face, just not as new as the last person that was up here. So Aaron kind of gave you the overview. In November of last year, we began a project replacing the roof at the wastewater treatment plant, which was a CIP project. Moving along quite well, and we're projecting the finish work, which is warranty work by the manufacturer, to be done tentatively the end of this week or working into next week. And what we're here to do is to request some reallocation of funds of totaling $18,000 from a wastewater treatment plant airline project that still has funds in it to cover some additional expenses on the project, which are basically some grant funding work that our engineers did in a service contract, and then to cover some future construction costs for some new safety equipment on the roof itself.
Okay. Questions, members of the committee? Public? In that case, motion, please.
Sure. Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee, excuse me, moves to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to reallocate $18,000 of remaining fund balance from the wastewater treatment plant aeration line project, parentheses 32JW002A, end of parentheses, to the wastewater treatment plant roof project, parentheses 32JW010A, end of parentheses.
Second.
Any further discussion by members of the committee? In that case, roll call vote.
Counselor Lake, yes?
Counselor Madison, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Counselor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
Thank you. That's unanimous. The next item.
Well, the next part goes back to what we were talking about. The city decided to pursue some state aid grant funding, and in doing so, the engineering firm Brown and Caldwell had a lot of extra work to do to apply for that funding. As you can see in the report, there was roughly 16 hours of additional work just by the project manager, and then 20 hours from project engineers, just to fulfill the requirements of everything needed by DES to be eligible for the grant funding. And so the request is for that change order of $4,800 to cover those expenses for that potential money.
Okay. Questions, members of the committee? Public? Seeing none, roll call vote.
We gotta make a motion first, right?
I'm sorry. Motion.
I'll do that part. Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute change order number 1 with Brown and Caldwell Engineers to perform additional engineering services for an amount not to exceed $4,880 for contract 04-2205.
And I second.
Okay, we're in the right order now. Any further discussion, members of the committee? In that case, roll call vote.
Counselor Lake, yes.
Counselor Masson, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Councilor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
It's unanimous. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Last but not least, a 30-year city employee here.
Really?
Yeah.
Good evening, Duncan Watson, Assistant Public Works Director and Solid Waste Manager. And it seems like every year I'm coming to you with this item, which is a resolution to do a budget adjustment so that our books can get balanced. The long and the short of it is that we received some greater revenue than expected from our transfer station recycling center operation, and correspondingly some additional expenses came in as well. We try our best to forecast many months in advance as to what might happen, and in this case, it's a happy coincidence that we have greater revenue to that balance out the greater expense, and so this is an accounting exercise to pass this resolution.
Questions by members of the committee? I had one, but I wrote it down someplace else. The revenue is significantly higher in the last year, correct? You know, just a rough idea.
I mean, the interesting thing about trash is it's like a canary in the coal mine, so you can sort of tell how the economy is doing by how trash is coming in, particularly construction and demolition debris. And in this area, the economy seems to be doing pretty well, given the fact that we're just bringing in more trash than what we expected. I mean, I honestly had adjusted it when I was doing the budget preparation the year before, to try to reflect what I thought was going to be a bit of a slowdown in the economy based on COVID and coming out of COVID, and that's just how it goes.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Members of the public? Seeing none? Motion.
Move to recommend the adoption of Resolution R 2023-06.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Counselor Lake, yes.
Counselor Masson, yes.
Counselor Powers, yes.
Councilor Remy, yes.
Counselor Chadbourne, yes.
Thank you, that's unanimous.
Thank you kindly.
Thanks, Duncan. The end of our agenda. Using this mallet. We're adjourned. This belongs back at the planning department. He can take it with